One key behavior shared by many who have BPD is something called splitting. And if you're curious to know what that is, I encourage you to stick around. For those of you who are new here, my name is Kayla and I make videos about all things BPD. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about splitting countertransference, or just more commonly known as splitting. Before starting though, I want to mention that splitting is not something that's unique to BPD. We actually see this mechanism in other personality disorders. So we often see it in narcissistic personality disorder as well as antisocial personality disorder. But for the purpose of this video, we're just going to be talking about it in terms of BPD. To split something means to divide it down the middle. And so for those with BPD, they tend to characterize themselves, others, or situations as black or white. So in other words, they may suddenly characterize others, beliefs, situations as all good or all bad, meaning that when someone is good, they can't make a single mistake, and that when someone is bad, they can't do anything kind or thoughtful or considerate. Even though people with BPD typically have the awareness that the world is very complex and that good and bad things can happen and exist at the same time and place, splitting still occurs, and typically it occurs very suddenly. Those who experience trauma may develop splitting as a coping mechanism. So for example, take a child who has been abused by a parent. It's very hard to reconcile the fact that this person, who's supposed to be a figure of consistency and unconditional love, could cause so much hurt and damage. So to protect themselves, they will view the parent as two separate people. So they will view the parent as the abuser in one scenario and as the figure of safety and love in the other. This tendency to split can then be overgeneralized to other aspects of their lives as they do get older. And essentially what it boils down to is the inability to integrate opposing views. And so this is a psychological defense mechanism which allows for individuals to tolerate difficult emotions that may seem opposing. So if we go back to this idea of a parent who abuses a child, it doesn't make sense for children in their mind that how can this person be so hurtful to me one moment and then be so kind and loving to me another. So they develop this kind of defense mechanism to split this person into two different things to protect themselves and to try to make sense of all of these very overwhelming and complex thoughts and emotions that accompany this trauma. The ironic and sad thing about this coping mechanism as an adult is that when we split to protect ourselves and to protect ourselves from feeling abandoned, so for example, when someone hurts us and then we categorize them as all bad and we push them away to ensure that we don't get hurt or abandoned, what typically happens is that people do end up leaving, and this reinforces all of these core beliefs that we have about ourselves and reinforces the fear of abandonment, so it ends up being hurtful for us and those around us. Splitting can also be very confusing for the people around you because you can go from you're the worst to the best person all in the same day. For those of you who have cats like the lovely Tuna, you know that you could be petting your cat and they're purring and loving you 1 second, and then literally within a split second, they are ripping your face off. So if ever you still don't understand what splitting looks like, go pet your cat and you will see that they will turn on you real quick. Hey, Tuna. Therapy can be a really great tool when trying to manage splitting episodes and splitting in general, because it helps to teach clients that two things can be true at the same time. And that's really one of the main tenets of DBT. The dialectical aspect is that two opposing things can be true simultaneously. And so it's helping teach clients that gray areas do exist and to help them integrate these two opposing things. Other than learning skills such as checking the facts, focusing on our senses or on our breathing, as well as reducing our emotional vulnerability to stressors, the best way to beat splitting is to know when you're doing it. Now you're probably gonna ask me, well, Kayla, please tell me, how do I know when I'm splitting? And my answer is to be a detective. Notice when you're using very extreme words such as never or always, and when you use those words, try to find evidence pointing against. If you can't find any evidence, then you might be experiencing splitting. By also developing awareness for your triggers, you will be more equipped to know when you do have the tendency to split. Is it when you feel overlooked, or is it when you feel abandoned or put down? While it may be difficult at times, coping with splitting is possible, and getting professional help is probably one of the best ways to help you deal with this. And in this video, these were mere suggestions of what has worked for me, but please feel free to leave a comment in the comments down below telling me what has worked to help you cope with this defense mechanism. With that said, if you want to support my channel and get to see Tuna's cute face once in a while, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button down below as well as the bell notification up top to make sure that you get notified every Monday when I do post new videos. I hope that you all have the best week, and I will see you back here next time for another episode of On the Line.